Uh, well, I wonder if we're going to have anybody in here on a Sunday afternoon. Well, we just got back from shopping. I'm going to talk. There may not be anybody in here, but this way I can warm up the system. Man, gosh. Oh, I moved on. Okay. As for you, Motorbomb, I said the other day I put batteries in it. I love the old train. That thing has been on the wall for 25 years, right here on that wall, right there. It's been moved a couple of times. It was down a little bit lower, but we moved it up. And anyhow, we unplugged everything. We didn't have no system this morning. I like to watch that Muskie from Pennsylvania. He's always repairing. He was working on a like a little side-by-side mule, but it wasn't a mule. It was a name brand. And I watched the first chapter last week. Well, I started out, and the hell, I didn't get through the whole thing, and all of a sudden I get a red alert over there. My mesh goes red, then the TV goes off. So we unplugged everything. I get to check in with, well, you saw me this morning. I checked in with Sick and his crew. I like those steam trains, and the thing I cannot believe, when they engineered this thing, it worked so good for so many years. So anyhow, I unplugged everything. We unplugged it. We went to town and got over there and did some shopping. And hey, riding on Ruby. I'm glad you stopped by, buddy. You and the fine folks like Motorbomb and Ray and Sick and the guys that are helping to motivate the love and passion for biking. And I listened this morning on Sick's show when they was everybody's trying to get a room up there for BAM, and I don't blame them. It's a worthwhile effort. So we'll see how that turns out. I hope everybody gets to go. I would love to make it this year too. I don't make long range plans anymore. And hello, Sick. Not that I have any impending, nothing that's going to take me out, but now when we went to shop this morning, I told Angelique how we got to maybe start making our plans, like to go to do Key West this year. I'd like to make that a bucket list item. And on the bike, we've been down there, but we want to do this on the bike. And we want to pick when the weather's good, and we want to do it before spring break and all that stuff. So I gave her the little boundaries to work in, and she's going to start trying to find us some better housing, not Motel 6 or Motel 8, but where they allow us to have our animals, our two animals. Even though you got to pay, when I was in California, I paid $100 for just one puppy, $100. That was over there in Los Banos, California on I-5 North. Cost me $100. It was $187. $100 for the dog and $87 for me. Costs more for the dog than me. Hey man, that is, oh my, that's some good money right there, buddy. You done good, sick, and you got it already reserved. I think you reserve now and pay later. I think that's how I heard you guys talking. And and when I plugged everything back up, uh, I did check the speed, the Wi-Fi speed, and it's marginal. But the download is like 80 or 90, and now which ain't bad. But the upload was like 17 or 18, and that's on the lower side. According to StreamYard, you need at least 20 megabytes upload. So I'm just under, but see, YouTube is a little bit more forgiving than StreamYard is for whatever reason. As far as, because I've ran down to where the signal was just 6 or 8. Upload speed was only like 6 or 8, and it still functioned. Oh yeah, the hard part is now you got to pay it. um, I like to plan ahead and getting it all that done. See, I reserved a condo for my daughter from Washington down on down at Orange Beach or down in that Gulf Shores, I guess. And we paid for it in advance, several months in advance, because that's such a popular place to be. You have to book way ahead to get one, and we booked ours, and we got it at a wintertime rate, and it cost us $2,400 for that 3 days. But it was right on the beach. It was in a nice place. Yeah, you can't take money with you, so you might want to give up the idea of saving it for the future, because the future is now. Oh, Ruby, you got to go, buddy. Be safe. Oh, just you guys have a good time. Be safe out there. Oh, well, good. I'm glad you guys see you guys getting it worked out now, because that's in, was that June or July? Yeah, I think it's July. You um, reserve now and get assurance that you're going to have that. 2-4 has been talking about coming down, and I'd like to meet that character. He was one fine guy, I'm telling you. I tease him so much about his Alpine beer because I know he don't drink Alpine, but I saw the show. I watched the Trailer Park Boys there for the whole 6 or 8 years or whatever they was on. Never missed the episode, and I learned all about. I learned more about that country, that portion of the world, than through Trailer Park Boys and another show that I watched. You know me, I'm all about having fun in life. I picked up the kids some spicy meatballs. They got them little meatballs for puppies. My dog put it in his mouth, spit it out. Now, not Theo. Theo don't spit nothing out. 2-4. There is the guy I was just talking about right there. Um, I forget about this stuff goes all out there. There's people all around the world hearing it. I don't know. Last night, I know Sick was in here. My niece that lives on a boat on the Cortez Sea. She's a friend of SpongeBob. She lives on the sea, on the Cortez Sea, the Sea of Cortez, and she's I've known her ever since the day she was born. I held that little old squirmy little old baby girl, that little old baby girl in my hand. She was she was just like her mama, boy. She was in a lot of ways had them dark brown eyes and just full of life. Whoa! Hey! What we got going on up in here? What is this? What is going on up in here? Oh, you made some cornmeal muffins. If I can see it there. Whoa, there it is. Cornbread. Oh, yes. The Lord has been so kind to me. That right there.
Or?
That will light you up. Oh, I'm going to put that right over here. I'm going to put that on my cornbread. This is so good. I know a lot of people don't do this kind of stuff, but I like to bust it open. Instead of putting butter, I put a good dollop of this right here between the slices of cornbread.
Old Mac, how can you make such awful sounds to these nice people?
That wasn't me. I thought that was you.
No.
Don't let me see you walk out of here. Go on,
Nope.
Go on, get.
Nope.
Go on and get. She's afraid she'll fart when she walks. I know she.
I'm on you.
All righty.
I'm on you.
Golly, she's so stuffy. Thank you, sweetie. Oh, let me get this while it's frosty and cold. Ladies and gentlemen, that is so good. Don't let me make a mistake and throw one of those little dog biscuits in my soup.
That would be bad.
I know I did that for a motor bomb because see that man right there, he's getting slightly aroused just looking at my chili bowl. If I'd had a slice of fried ham on that plate, he would be in a full orgasmic moment. Well, let me see. She made little cornbread muffins, cornbread. I make cornbread in a skillet, but she likes the muffins. Let's see if the quality of the cornbread is anything that I would think would be what cornbread should be like. A little too close to the camera, I guess. But it's buttery. But I'm going to put me some right in my chili right here. Pardon me while I fix my chili up. I said I'd like to go. I almost made it last year. Remember, we really tossed it up in the air, and I don't remember there was something that came up that I think, yeah. Angelique was having female problems, and we had to have her in the hospital. Yeah, she had to go over there for some issues that women get. Us guys, we're so lucky. We don't ever get nothing. Ain't nothing ever happens to a man. Yeah, I watched every video you guys made up there, and I saw the tracks, and I saw Mrs. Ray. She was up there on her track, and she had a good sounding track. I got to say that you could hear it above all the rest of them. And in fact, after everybody rode away, I could still hear her up there in the canyon shifting gears. You know, Miss Katie Bug, she was getting on down the line. She left that old Ray back there in the back struggling, trying to keep up. Old Ray, right? the poor old man. He goes out there and plays in the snow and does his donuts and all that stuff. And now today, he's feeling poorly. He's got a little bit of croup on him, and you always got to pay when you play. Now I know this would offend probably a lot of people, putting their cornbread right in the chili. But the only way you really can enjoy it. Oh, look at the tomatoes, and this is that pot of chili I made the other day, and I said we'll have chili on Sunday because last night it went down to 15 degrees, and it was cold, and we already saw it was going to be really cold last night, and I um, I told her we're going to have chili, the leftover chili. Hey, Mr. Thomas Bailey. Oh man, me and the dogs and Angelique, everybody's doing fine here. Uh, yeah, I'm looking forward to the having when 2-4 makes it down. I have hamburger and I have pork chops. What I done is I had fried 6 pork chops. We had 2 nice pork chops left over, boneless pork chop, and they were seasoned with slap your mama. They were a spicy chop. So I cut them up and I put the after the hamburger and I use fajita seasoning and all that stuff. While the pinto beans are cooking over here, I'm making the meat sauce and I added those pork chops in, and there's chunks of pork in here that is so good, man. It just yeah, I in the old days we had a lot of our chili had a lot of pork in it, and people sort of moved towards the beef side of chili. And there's actually people eat chili without any meat at all. All right, let me just get the first reaction. Now I got to tell you now, my chili is not your mild mannered stuff. We like ours a little bit spicier. Mm. Hmm. Yeah, we used to make in the early years on the West Coast. We had used chorizo. I'm hoping I'm saying it correctly. Chorizo is like a Mexican sausage, um, spicy, and you mix the chorizo with beef, and then you get that old traditional flavor of the old style uh, chili that has pork in it. Chorizo. That is, oh, I love that stuff. I sometimes I'll make a patty of chorizo like you'd fry a sausage patty, scramble me up some eggs, or maybe when I get a fried egg and I turn that egg over, then I'll lay that patty of chorizo up on her and scoop up under it, put it on an English muffin. It'll knock your socks off. I am an expert when it comes to eating. Yeah, Thomas is he's excitable. Thomas is excitable, man. He's had some situation in Chile. He likes spicy. Oh, uh, Craig was an old soldier. Craig passed on. That's Joyce's husband. But Craig he was born and raised in Utah, where he lived a Western style life. He died as a cowboy. He died with his boots on, man. He loved his boots. He loved his cowboy hat. And he liked his big belt buckles, and he liked all that part of the stuff. But this little dog was raised by Craig, and it was Craig's dog. Like Joyce has got a couple of other dogs, but this was known as Craig's dog. And that little thing has an appetite for hot stuff. He'll eat chili. Uh, Come on now, let's don't be fighting, kids. No, let's don't be fighting. This is the day of rest and relaxation. I watched a guy this morning. You guys might have seen it. Before my TV went out, I saw a guy over in Yemen, up in Yemeni, and they shot missiles for 9 hours against the one of our aircraft carriers. I believe it's the not George Washington. Which one is it? One of the later ones, one of the big new, and they was in a pretty good sea battle there for 9 hours. Them mothers was firing missiles against our ships, but I got a feeling a lot of people will die before the day's over because you don't fire on an American warship. You better be prepared to bring it. Anyhow, that little old toy soldier up there with all of his stuff, all of his spaghetti all over his body, and oh, God damn. I asked Angelique, I said, how come they just can't talk? I would say, today we bombed the American aircraft carrier. We tried to blow it out of the water, but no, I go, God almighty. They get so excited about stuff. Um, and I thank every one of you for coming in here this afternoon. This was not a planned event. I told her, I said, if we got a signal when we come back, I'm going to get on and fill in some of the voids between other groups there while I can get on. Chances are now, after I do this, I'm going to have to unplug it again, because if I intend to watch any TV after a while, it'll be all used up. T-Mobile only gives me a little bit of data every month. Stick, you got to get on that motor bomb. Look at what he's done now. Now, Mr. Bailey, he had the loud talking patent. I mean, he was using it pretty effectively. And then you scolded him, and he said, oh, and then he changed his ways. And look at what happened. Motorbomb now is so addicted to it. And now you gotta send him to his room, send him to the corner. You guys are so much fun. You're all laid back, That's what I love about Sick, man. He's laid back. His foot half rotted off in his body, and oh, I tell you, I'm having a bad day. Anybody else had a foot rotting off like that? They go, "Whoa, it hurt so bad all day." Not old Sick, man. He's like, I'm gonna crank it up. I'm gonna crank it up. He turned the music up, hit the bong, and like, yeah. You got to know how to approach pain. You folks are fine in my book. Y'all work it out amongst yourselves. I like to see. I like to see all the interaction. That 024, he can come back with stuff. It's got to be you live where there's that's a long period of time. where you can't ride and you see everybody else out riding. Now, when I saw Ray out there doing them donuts out there in the yard on Miss Tricia, I almost said it there. I got it, Miss Ray. I'll say Mama Ray. Uh, he was having fun. And don't think I didn't think about it. Hell, I got that big yard out there. I did think about it when I was riding, but then I decided not to. I wish I had it now. I've never had any side effects from gummies. I'm not trying to sell them. I ain't trying to promote them. What I'm saying is, uh, I never had a headache. I never had any of that. I didn't have anything. It was just they brought you the pleasure that you purchased. You buy $10 worth of pleasure, $20 worth of pleasure, $100 worth of pleasure. You know, way back during the biblical days now, I mean, God Almighty Himself, He gave one of the greatest gifts to man. You know, look it up, and it's in that big book, the big one. They call it the Bible. Uh, he gave man a gift. Not only the gift of life, but He gave him the grape. And the grape grew good because He provided the light for the grape to grow good, and the grape produced fine wine. And Noah, he liked the wine. You know, I'm people like the wine. You know, I like the wine too. But what I'm saying is that he believed in pleasure because even at a wedding, Jesus turned water into wine. They go, "Oh yeah, but it didn't have no alcohol." Hey, he never drank no. You damn sons of bitches! Don't ever say that. He didn't drink no alcohol. Well, to ferment a grape, there's natural yeast on the outside of the grape. That's that gray stuff you see. And when you put them in a vat and add sugar, you're going to have alcohol. They can try to cover it up, make it all sound something else. But and the reason I know that He loved man to have pleasure when the slaves were building the pyramids or whatever, the pharaohs was basically told to give mead. It was like a beer, a wheat or a grain beer made out of mead. I believe it was called. I could say it wrong, and y'all could look it up, and you'll know what the right word is. But I believe it's called mead. And he knew that the workers would be more satisfied, they could produce more, and the pain and toil of being a slave, but would be lightened by them being allowed to have mead. So for those that can find pleasure in gummies, if your legs are hurting so bad, your back, you can't hardly stand up because of arthritis in your spine, your feet are so bad, and gummies give you that little bit of delight, a little bit of pleasure. And so I see nothing wrong with it. Of course, I'm not one going to judge you either, but oh, does he ever need some gummies? This more, I don't think that'll take the croup away. But when you went into the candy store there in Washington, oh, his legs hurts. That's right. I heard him say that. You go to these different departments in the store. You go over. Now, these are not medical marijuana outlets. See, these are regular for personal consumption. But they got it broken down in departments. You go into like a Walmart there. They're a big store. It's not a little bitty kind of a hole in where a guy standing in the alley go, "Psst, hey boy, I got a dime bag for you." No, man, you go in, it's like a shopping supermarket, and there's pain and suffering, sleep deprivation, things that people go through, and you want to get something for your dog. It's a little nervous in a lightning storm. You can get all your pet supplies there, all your little THCs and the little gummies for the old. I tell you what I did. I bought I bought some THC salve from the store. I paid like $146 for this little jug of kind of like a balm like stuff, and I rubbed it on my feet, and woo, I want to tell you, I rubbed it all on my feet, and then I put the socks on. Well, later in that evening, we were fixing to get ready to go to bed. I took my socks off, and we're sitting there talking, and my sister Joyce and I was talking, and Theo was over there licking my foot, and I wasn't even thinking nothing about it. Dogs will lick your feet. That's just the way they are. They like the salt that's on your body. He was over there licking my feet. Next thing you know, little old Theo went into a happy stage. When he was doing that, he was already 14 years old at that time. And little old Theo thought he thought he was 18, and she's got a little dog. Her name is Colette. And Theo went strutting over there, being a guy that he is and everything, and he nuzzled her around the ear. And then he threw that one leg up over her shoulder, and he had that most beautiful look in his little face. We're watching him. We're sitting there watching him. He's all stoned out, and there was some good music playing in the background, like Barry White, and all of a sudden that damn little old dog reached up and bit him in the lip. And he raised his head up and slung her around the room. He finally flung that little critter off his lip. And I doubt if you remembered anything the next day, but you would have had to have been there. I wish that I got that on the camera. Watching his moment of love turned into pain and suffering. But he still loved her. And I could call his name out going down the coast in California. I would call her name out, and his little head would perk up because he knew her name. It was there for like a month. That was last year, not this year. The dogs didn't get any THC this year. My gosh, that's good. Yeah, we had to go pick up stuff. We was out of milk. We had to wait for this disaster to get over with because it was a run on milk and bread. And so we went over there and had to get some groceries. Almost $8 a dozen for eggs. Something ain't right there, 2-4. If you got grass that you can see, and we're down here in 15 to 25 degree weather. 10.57 for 18 eggs. That's down there. Oh yeah, I can see they get it too. People love their eggs. I do too. I ain't going to give up on my food. If I have to cut back on some of my riding, I'm going to continue eating. I remember when we lived on the farm, any farm fresh egg was around 25 cents a dozen. That was in the 50s. And if you'd have told somebody in 1957 when we was buying a dozen eggs from a farmer for 25 cents, that one day they're going to be nearly $8. You go, what? He'll have called you a liar. He said, ain't no damn way any human being going to pay no $8 for a dozen eggs. Hell, you're crazy, man. Get out of here. Hey, Miss, oh, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Um, Good to see you. Hope your Sunday's going good for you. Oh, that's so cool. Your boyfriend name is his channel is Diamonds. Are you his diamond in the rough? Yeah, that's an old saying, diamond in the rough. Loosely interpreted. Well, boys and girls, that was the last of the pot of chili. And I still got a chunk of cornbread here. But let me just show you how this works. Got to show you how this works here. You take your spicy, let's see if y'all can see that. Get just a little dollop of, y'all can't even see that, can you? The color of the lights are really pitiful in this room. There it is right there. That is this stuff here. Grandma never made cornbread like that. Oh, that was so good. Hey, come here, little buddy. I want to see. Come here, little buddy. You can come up here. Come on. Whoa. Let me see. Here. You like some cornbread? Let me see. Are you gonna behave and eat some cornbread? Let me put it down here so everybody can see the little baby eating some cornbread here. Come on. Oh yeah. That's a good cornbread. He loved that cornbread. He's a country dog. You want more? Oh man, he loves that cornbread. He's chugging it down. I hate to eat in your ear, but my God, it's lunchtime down here on the ranch. Let's take a little survey. How many people like the new Mac versus the old Mac? See up in the corner, there's the old Mac up there. I do this every year, and nobody ever notices it. One time I went to a big ham event, and guy come up to me and said, I thought that was you. And he said, I didn't know if it was because the last event we was at, I had a beard and a lot of hair. And then in this particular event in Birmingham, I was close shaven and haircut. And they were surprised. They couldn't believe that I would cut my beard. Well, I do it every year. I'm telling you, this was good to the last drop. Let me show you this, folks. I wanted to. He never did show up, but I was waiting for brown chicken to show up because if you take a look right there, my placemat is a brown chicken. Well, actually, a blue chicken on a brown background. No, that ain't a dog turd. That's a. You know what that little meatball? That's a meatball, man. Anyhow, the brown chicken didn't show up yet, but when he does show up, I'll make sure I've done it just for him. So when you have a pot of chili, you're so respectful. Um, I worked hard to be Old Mac. I didn't start calling myself Old Mac until I reached 80. See, folks, when you have your bowl of chili, you gotta balance out that with a chocolate covered cherry. Mmm. Life just don't get any better than that. Oh yeah, when I turned 80, I did begin to feel some age related issues. I know me and my wife, we got together when I was 80 years old. I wanted to prove that I could still do it. We got together, and after it's over with, I said, "What do you think about that, baby?" She said, "I could feel old age creeping up on me." Hello, Connie. Oh my God, 110 years old. Oh, I officially quit working in 1995. coming up on 30 years. I have been retired for 30 years, and I'd be quite a goal to live to be 110. Well, Connie, I hope your weather finally warmed up for you down there. Well, she's 94 years of age. Well, yeah, there are going to be some things that tends to wear out on you. Oh, okay. Motorbomb, he got to go get his chili. Got to go get his chili makings. I bought a whole bunch of new seasonings today. I bought some steaks. Let me tell you, I got some of these Black Angus. Oh my gosh, they were $18 a piece, I believe it was. A little steak about that big. But we're going to have them Tuesday. I got it programmed to have steak on Tuesday. Yeah, that's coming Tuesday. And I like mine when you cut in, you have a little pink in the middle there, so it has some juice in it. And I like to take that French toast and sop up the juice. Lucy, there's no reason to believe that you won't live for a long time. With the technology changing, see, I learned when I was in the 6th grade that my life expectancy was 67 years. So your life expectancy, you're started in the 70s already, and that's going to change. It's been changing so fast that pretty soon they'll be considering working at 75 a normal thing. You still holding down a job and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I'm basically lazy. It's the reason I left when I was 55 years old in 95, so I left the company so I could go out and live, and I've been living ever since. Yeah, I'll be 85 in June, and yeah, we've done a lot of living. Well, you can't believe the places and things we've done since 1995. I got a lot of mileage on me. I think if you can afford it, well, go out early. I think it adds longevity and live some. We lived with that in mind as we raised our family and stuff, about the future. We got a lot of lucky breaks. Life has been really good to me, so not everybody gets the same breaks. One time I was at this big company. I was driving a Caterpillar tractor, and I was down there in the warehouse having work done on my Caterpillar tractor. It was a D7 Cat. And while they was working on it over there, this guy said, "You want to go riding the train with me?" he was the conductor for the train that worked. He hauled sugar beets into the factory, and he had a locomotive out there. And I go, yeah. So I went out there and climbed up in the cab, and me and him switched cars and brought in a lot of cars, and I was riding along, and he was showing me all that stuff. He said, "All right, we already made 3 passes through the yard. Went and got the cars, brought them into the dump, dumped them. Talk about we already done 3 trips." He said, "You're going to do this one." I go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" He said, "There's your throttle right here. It's a big old lever." He said, "There's this," and he said, "It's all yours." He went over and lit him up a cigarette. Old Jerry done driving the train down through there, and yeah, it was fun. There was nothing to it, but um, I didn't say no. I always believe in taking the opportunity if it presents itself and run with it. Guy asked me when I was 16 years old, did I want to ride his Harley? Did I want to drive his Harley? I said yes, and it's been a love ever since. Oh, that was a good chocolate covered cherry. It was a really a good ride over to the store today. The snow all up in the hills and on all the peaks. I've got, when I leave here and go to the south, there's a 670-foot ridge I have to cross over it and go up the other side and cross over the second ridge and then drop down into the town. And on both of those ridges, there was covered in snow. Quite a bit of snow up there. Yeah, it was when we went shopping. It was only 25 degrees. It had already warmed up from 15 to 25. I was in a car that can drive itself this year, just last month. In December, I was in a car, and it was demonstrated to me on I 90 West. I'm sorry, I 90 East. We were going east, and it was really cool. The machine, oh, it could park itself. It could do all that stuff. Um, yeah, they got a lot of things going on for them. They got it in Los Angeles. They got the Ubers down in LA, and there's stuff they drive, and you you purchase where you want to go, and you do it and on your phone, and you get hop in, and it takes you to that location. No driver. Hey, Mr. Salty. Good seeing you here this afternoon. And there's Robin. Hey, Robin. Yeah, we just had lunch here. Just finished off the chili. We went to the grocery store this morning and stocked up. We had got a week of cold weather ahead of us, and we're just going to stay here by the fire, and yeah, we're going to have steak on Tuesday. I got that all planned up. When I was in the car, Lucy, that could drive itself, we was in pouring down rain, and we was running freeway speed, and it it knew when to brake. It had all kind of. It seemed to be pretty sophisticated. I'm not advocating. I love driving. That's the part of my life I like the most. Yeah, when you guys hit that like button up there, it's like a warm hand pat me on the belly. I like that. You know, that warm, cozy, fuzzy feeling you get. That I start purring like a kitten every time I see them numbers go up over there. I start purring like a kitten. Oh yes, it is. I mean it has all the things that you need for protection, the auto break-in, all that stuff. It's pretty sophisticated. Oh, I see somebody. Oh, I felt that rub on my belly. I went, who is rubbing my belly? And I looked up and I see the number went up. I went, whoa! Thanks, Salty. I really needed that. uh, the doctor told me, he said, man, you got to be careful about that self gratification. You do it too much there and you'll go blind. I said, well, how much can I do where I just need glasses? So you got to be careful. I'm an old guy sitting over here, and you put out some words out there, Salty, and I feed on that stuff. I'll grab your words and I'll turn it into something awful. I'm like Robin. I'll make you feel uncomfortable. These things, Salty's over conjuring up some words he can throw out there and just see how far I'll go. Well, I see the numbers leveled off over there, Salty, on the like button there because a lot of people say, I don't do that kind of stuff on Sunday. Now, if it's going to make him feel comfortable or it's going to, and it's going to have some kind of innuendo attached to it, me liking that, I just, oh, I got to back off on that. No, I've got to deal with YouTube because of my age. This only happens. Uh, hang on, the train's coming through. You notice the train's on time. I tell you, you're right, 2-4. Salty's got some comebacks, and you just got to be really careful around Buck Brown too, because that boy, he he can he's sharp as a tack. Little Buck. Yeah, we're that's how poor we are. We live on the other side of the tracks. All the good people like Salty and 2-4 and Motorbomb and yourself and Sick. You guys are on the other side of the track. I'm down here. Elvis wrote a song about it. See, what was that word he used? In the ghetto by the tracks. Maybe Elvis didn't write the song, but he sang it. In the ghetto. uh, yeah, I'm just amazed how beautiful it is out there for being as cold as it is. I mean, it's deceiving. You look out there and that sun is so bright, the sky is so blue, and golly, right now it's starting to warm up. I think we've reached the warmest we're going to get today, but um, from what they're saying, it's going to drop down. Let's see what's going to be tonight. It's going to drop down. Once again, it's going to be cold. Yeah, it's going to be cold tonight. It just said colder tonight. So last night was 15 degrees. We were over there in Montana, and in those days, everybody looks cool in shades today. All your military got shades, and everybody you come up out of Afghanistan, you got your shades on and all that stuff. Well, we was working for the Air Force, and they were anti-shades, and we'd go out, and it would be so bright out there on that snow. We'd be up in central Montana, and the glare would be just hurting your eyes. And we started petitioning the government to allow us to be issued some shades to protect our eyes. It took a long time before they could make a decision that it might be safe for us to drive and be able to see the road than not issue the glasses. So they finally did issue some, but they had to mull it over for quite a while because see, sitting up in the office, you don't see the sun as much as you out when you're out there in a Minuteman silo, and getting out to the silo can be really hard in the glaring ice and snow. Now they gave us in the trunk of every one of our vehicles, we had issued GSA vehicles, and in every one of those vehicles it had blankets MREs. You had canister of what they call heat. You could pull a thing and it would glow and get hot. It was for an emergency. You had hand warmers. You could put those in your parker, put them down in your shirt, keep your chest warm. But no sunglasses. We finally did get the sunglasses. And then they started issuing us these Arctic parkas that they had a name for them. And I can't remember what it was called, but they had wolf fur around the hood. And I had one or two or three, or whatever, you can't keep up with them because a lot of times they'll transfer you and your coat is over there and you got to go this way and you don't get to see it again. But finally, we got in another location. We started up a brand new bunch of silos, and they brought us out our winter gear, and it didn't have the sheet. They didn't have the wolf fur on it. It had something else. And everybody said, "Where's our wolf fur?" Well, they come to find out it was banned. The ones that they had issued us in Montana was stuff that had been banned by I guess the animal rights people or whatever. They was put on the hit list, and they saved them and hid them out and gave them to us to wear. But they wouldn't allow us to wear them outside of that area. So, yeah, they finally banned them. That's an acronym there, Salty. Emergency. They usually take those acronyms and they convert them into some kind of a military jargon that you can throw out there. Extreme cold weather clothing system. Yeah, they're always going to be an acronym for everything. They that's what they live on. We were ham radio operators when we got out in the field. I'd been for many years, and so we were going along there, and we'd get on. Everybody had a military radio, and there's a lot of all your cars can talk to one another. It's the term they use now is what was it called? It's where they oh yeah, it's the Last Supper. Oh, anyhow, all the car trunking. It's called trunking. In our days, they had another name for it, but new modern stuff is trunking. It was a military. Civilians didn't have that at that time. So wherever you're at, one car will relate to another car, and it goes up and down in frequency, and so that you're transmit on one frequency and receive on another. And you'd get on there and you'd ask for a smoky report. Oh, your nearest military base would pick it up, and they would get on to you about talking on the military radio. But we knew there was other people out in the field, and they'd say, "There's a smoky sitting on mile marker 34." They'd get so mad at us, giving smoky reports on the military radio. Those ain't what the radio's for. Cut down on the chatter. The cars have a trunking system they originally called it the trunking. Trunking is in the trunk. You have, and in our days, we had dynamos back there. There was like an electrical dynamo that ran and it created high enough voltage to be able to run the equipment, the necessary radio equipment. And it was like a little repeater going down the highway, and you would link up and you'd go into a subset of frequencies that you could carry on a conversation, and a guy could be 150 miles away, but you're talking to him, hooking up to maybe multiple cars. Sometimes there was some of the Motorola units that we had. It would tell you how many jump off points that you had between the nearest talking person. In other words, there'd be a lot of radios out there, but nobody would be on the radio to man them. They'd be out doing a job, but the radio would still be active, but they'd use it just to relay. Yeah. Your best friend, as you know, is somebody that works in stores. If you got pulled there, you can get all the stuff that you need, and knowing the right person at the right time. And back a long time ago now, there was a whole lot of black market in the military. As you know, Salty, you could get almost anything you wanted. Let's just say you was putting together a weapon and you needed sear or something that you didn't have. Somebody could get it for you. Um, Speaking of Humvee, when I was truck driving, I went down to a mining company called Jim Walters Number 5. That's down by Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And hey, Ray, Moto Life. You got to go up there and see the show. when I went over there, I had all these engines in a crate. They were there were engines for Humvees, and so when I met the guy at the warehouse, he asked me if I would drive the truck around over there, and they would take a forklift and they was going to load them onto a deal. They was dropping them 2,000 or 3,000 feet down into the ground. They had Humvees that's down there that rode around inside the mines, and once they go down, they don't ever come back up. Until they wore out, and then they're just junk. But they was changing out engines and stuff, and I went over there and he showed me the boneyard of ones that's been used down there for a few years, and of course rocks falls on them and all that stuff. And that guy was telling me at Jim Walters Number 5, they paid over $100,000 for those Humvees. Over $100,000 then. That's before they say it had to be specially outfitted for the mine work. They had a water sprayer on it. They had a deal. They didn't spray water. They sprayed talcum powder to prevent sparks, to keep a fire down inside the mines. These are dry mines, and they put this. They would go into areas and they would put this real fine talcum powder like stuff out. Well, then they found that the talcum powder was worse than getting the black lung. I just heard things. I don't know anything either. I just heard stuff. You know, you always know somebody that knows somebody, and that's what they call having a good hookup. Um, there was so many things like, see, we worked with the GSA. I mean, we had to go through the GSA to get our vehicles. And if you was a good guy, they would give you a good GSA vehicle, something that run good. You know, they had SUVs and they had stuff that, like if you had to haul 2 or 3 people, you'd get a good SUV, a GSA. But if you wasn't one of the good ones, you would get a SUV that had 275,000 miles on it. An old beater, you know, something just wore out. Well, they rotate them, but they put high mileage. So see, when we was in Montana, we would drive 150 miles one way to go do our job and 150 miles back. Now you're paid for all this driving, but you'd put in your 10 hours on the site and then have to do your driving time back and driving time getting there. You'd log a lot of miles every day. Yeah, you turn your back on them and you put your hand out behind you and hoping you feel something being deposited into your hand while looking the other way. I know nothing. You were like that Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing. Yeah, I think the last time, Lucy, you was in here, you had to go away. You had to leave. There was something came up. You left. You left there pretty early. Last night, my niece was on here. She's out there living on a boat in the Sea of Cortez, and she was in here with us a little while. But they had a big game they was going to. I don't know if they was physically going to a game, which would probably be soccer. I don't know, or whether or not they was watching the game on the TV, like some one of our playoffs or something. But she had to leave to go to a football game or a game. I'm assuming it was football or soccer. Yeah, we've talked a lot about in our early days when we had when we, well, my brother and I went to Kennewick, Washington, specifically to have a guy to build us a chopper. We were going to have 2 choppers, but when we got over there, what I wanted, they couldn't make it for me. They didn't have, but they told my brother they could build him. Well, they made him his chopper, and anyhow, after he had it there for a while, I think he had a new baby to come into this world, and you know, and I was ready, and I got the chopper, and my gosh, we had so much fun. We had so much fun on that thing. Yeah, we had, if I remember right, that '53 panhead engine that had like an oil, it had an oil tank on it. I remember we had poured this 50 weight in it, and my tank, it was a chopper, so it had a small tank on it, like the 48 style tank, and you'd go through quite a bit of oil as you went through a tank of gas. It was pretty wore out. It had twiced up the side pipes with fish tips on it, and you could go down a hill, Salty, and when you get down the bottom hill and then get back on the throttle, you could see a puff of blue smoke back there. It just puffed right out, you know. But I'm gonna tell you, as low as that compression was, it usually started on one or two kicks. It didn't require a lot of kicking to get it to going, and it didn't flood easy. You could put a lot of gas to it, and that was about one of the easiest starting Harleys I've ever had to start with a pedal. But I liked that old bike, the sound it would make. Salty, did I tell you about the time that I had to have an emergency surgery? And they couldn't perform the surgery and the part of Washington I was in. So I had to go 150 miles to a hospital, 175 miles to a hospital, down in Walla Walla, Washington, down there by the Blue Mountains, right across the Columbia River. And got down there, stayed in the hospital for 4 days. And that old Harley sat out there in the front. And when the lady rolled me down in the wheelchair, I had major surgery, 80 stitches inside me. She rolled me down there, and when I told her to stop here, and she said, "You're on a bike?" I go, "Yeah." She said, "You shouldn't be riding a bike." I go, "That's my only transportation." She said, "Well, the doctor's going to have a fit. I've got to go talk to him about that." So I stepped out of the wheelchair, and went over there and took the magnet down in the front of the engine. You got the magneto. I turned it back, retarded the timing, turned my gas on over there, walked around to the other side, straddled it, put my foot and rolled my foot, pushed it through. Before I went to the other side, I took my hand and rolled through up to compression stroke, walked around on the other side, got on it, took that old leg, and that one cylinder caught. Oh, it started up. Second cylinder kicked in, and I just reached down there and advanced the timing. Boy, she was a purring like a kitten. But when I left the hospital, there was 7 miles of cobblestone, because at the time Walla Walla was a shipping port, and all the big sailing ships that came up the Columbia River, they brought ballast loads of brick from England and Europe, and then they would pick up a load of wheat and take it back to Europe. And so the streets were all paved with cobblestone. They've done that at all your major seaports. Every town's got cobblestone. And on that rigid tail, that 48 frame was a rigid tail, and I've got all this stuff inside of me all stitched up there. That was a pretty bone-jarring experience to get out of there. But when I got up on US 17 out of Pasco. Not US, it was Washington State 17, Highway 17 out of Pasco, Washington. And I was cruising along 70 miles per hour when I drove through a mint field on both sides of the highway. As far as the eye could see, many sections of wheat, not wheat, mint. And the birds love the mint, and they come in and they fly in swarms of 100,000 birds at a time, little birds. And I caught one. I had aviator glasses on and my helmet, and that bird drove itself up inside my helmet, bent the rim on my aviator glasses, and he squeezed out all the goodies out of his little body, and it came down to my eye here, and now I thought I lost my eye because the impact. I thought it hit me right in the eye. So I rode one-eyed on into the town of Othello, Washington, went to the Chevron station there and went in and washed my face and got the little bird carcass out of my helmet. And got to looking, and there was a tiny, tiny little hole on my eyebrow, where his beak, I guess, cut me going in. And I had both eyes, and I was happy about that. Well, I'm looking up on the meter over there. I've got 5 people in and 5 thumbs up. You can't beat that. 5 for 5, staying alive. We used to love we used to love the GSA vehicles they would give us. Um, the the different things they'd come up with for us to have. When we was in Montana, they gave us American Motor Ambassadors. They had what they call police interceptor engines in them, 400, I think they're 401 cubic inch or 405 cubic, over 400 cubic inches anyhow. Had the high performance police interceptor engine in it, American Motor Ambassador. And we'd make them cars run. There was no speed limit for us because we were on government property and on the TE road, Transporter Erector Road. That's the road that they brought the missiles out on. We would ride. There was no limit, except when you got on the airbase. Now the AP they would write you up. They'd give you a ticket, but not out on the road that they took the missile out on. Yeah, the TE road, the Transporter Erector Road. Every time I bought a crotch rocket, I'd get over on the TE road, and you got stretches 4 or 5 miles long there in Montana. And you only need a mile or two, and you can take that old crotch rocket up to the top of the needle, make it go all the way up to the top. I got the Golly Wobbles over in Lamont, Missouri. Come up over at Crest, Lamont. If you ever go to Google Earth and look at Lamont, Missouri, on the way to Knobnoster, if you're going west and going through the town of Lamont, Missouri, it's up on a rise and it goes up and goes down the other side. And when I passed by the little town of Lamont, I was running 130 miles per hour, over 100. When I went over the other side, the suspension went up, the forks went down, and that wasn't bad. And you could feel it getting really light when I went over the hill. But as it started to settle in, it started doing this. Oh, but I drug the end of my toes on the pavement at 70, 80 miles per hour. But I didn't die. That little town was always an interesting place. I was going at 3 o'clock in the morning past Lamont going east. And there was a tornado coming out of Kansas City. And I was trying to get down to Sedalia before the tornado hit. And right in the middle of the highway up there, lightning struck the median. And all of a sudden inside my brain, everything went white and then blue and like a ball of fire in the center, and I ain't seeing nothing. And then I felt a rumble strip, you know, as my vision's trying to come up. And my mind, I think I had drifted to the right. And in my mind, when I couldn't see, I believed I had drifted to the right. But I didn't. I had drifted to the left. I'd already drifted across the lane. And what I'm trying to, you just can't grab a hold of the brakes at that kind of speed. You want to kind of ride it out. But when my vision came back, I was on the left-hand side and I was on the rumble strip over there. And whoa, that was scary. Little buddy, you want to get over on the couch and sit, do you? He's sitting here in my lap. Come on, little buddy. Say goodbye to the people. I'll put you over on the couch. Look over there. There's Salty. Say hello, Mr. Salty. Huh? There you go. Let me get these old things down from here. And there, you can have your little cushion back. There you go. Get up on your cushion. Oh, he's looking for food. Your eyes are pretty well open in the night, and then when the lightning struck, it cinched your eyeball down so tight that it was really, really tough on the eyes. But it took a little while. The thing is not to panic. Don't do something stupid like grab a hold of the brakes because you start sliding, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. But we were lucky we didn't get killed. We've had some adventures. We went to take off from Los Angeles in a 727, and the company, when the Boeing company sent you somewhere, they put you all the way in the back. You was like filler. They'd put you on a flight when you took whatever seat was left over in the back, and we were rolling out. The old plane started doing that bump a bump, bump a bump, bump a bump, bump a bump as it gained speed running down the runway. You could hear all three of the engines spooled up really good, and all of a sudden there was an explosion over our heads. Boom! Whoa! Then we felt the plane surging, and we know he was applying the brakes. And then the reverse thrusters went on the two side engines, and we could look out and see it. We know that he's coming to a stop out there. And so we sat there for a little while, and then they come and hooked on and drug us over there. Well, he actually drove us himself off the runway, but got over on the. They hooked him up and drug him back over there. And what had happened inside of this jet engine, you have these exciters, they call them, to be kind of like not a glow plug, but like a spark plug, and they have what they call compressor stall. In other words, it was an explosion inside the compressor, and so they came out there and exchanged the igniters over. Igniters or exciters, I can't remember the term they use on those engines, but they changed them out, and then they put us back out there, and we took off and flew out within probably an hour and a half. We had to sit there. They'd give us all free drinks. You ain't never been on an airplane or a train? Wow, it's hard to imagine not getting some flight time. So on another trip, we take off at 6 o'clock in the morning from Seattle, Washington. We was in a small six-cylinder Cherokee 6 airplane, and when we rolled down the runway, we climbed up, and we had a ceiling of 1,500 feet. And we climbed up at the end of the runway, and we went into this whiteout. And I could feel the plane leaning over, and the motor was running really good. And I could know we were nose up, so we're climbing. We're doing like this, going up like this. And then all of a sudden the motor went, and I looked and I see the propeller sitting right there in front of me. It ain't turning. And the pilot sitting right next to me, he reached over and he did this and he did this and he did this and he did this and he pushed this in right here. And now the plane is leveled up, but we're slightly nose down now and we're still in the whiteout, and you hear the wind going by. And then he reaches over and he went, I can see the propeller out there turning, and that thing fired to life. And then we never did see the ground, but he pulled out. The tower wanted to know what kind of incident report he was going to file, an incident report, because we had dropped down out of this radar pattern. And what had happened there on this particular aircraft, he had 2 7-gallon tanks out on the tip. And he plus had these big tanks inboard. But he always done his pre-flight and everything on those 7-gallon tanks out on the end. And he had did the flight before we took our flight. He had already done a flight around Seattle, and he flew off this tank. When it ran out of gas, he just started switching tanks, and he went to a backup magneto, and then he pushed the starter button, and it turned a few times and started. There's a few times you're sitting there like, oh, buddy, you're just waiting for the thing to cough back to life. And it did. Yeah, Lucy, she never flown on an airplane. She'd never been on an airplane or a train. If you ever get a chance, Lucy, fly in a helicopter. See, one time the search and rescue team had sent us out. They deployed us out. We had a downed aircraft, and there was 5 commercial pilots in the aircraft that went down. So they sent us to set up a site for the morgue where they could bring the bodies down and identify them and do that kind of stuff. And they had to take us in by helicopter because the roads, they was just opening the roads up because the snow was so deep. And so the guy says, when you get out of here, jump down to the ground, but do not touch the railing. Don't touch, it had skid pads. It was like an old Huey. And so when I got up there, I stood up on the rail itself. I was standing and he was coming in, and he said, Stola, start, debarking, get off now. Because he could only hold it in that wind just so long. It's really violent wind up on that mountainside. And I jumped down out of there. This guy that was with me, the helicopter sort of rose a little bit just as he started jumping. He grabbed a hold of, just as his feet touched the ground, he grabbed a hold of the skid. But about 4 inches before his hand got to the skid, all that energy from that propeller spinning up there exited out through his fingers. It lit him up, buddy. It really lit him up. Yeah, they caution you about some of the military blades, that got graphite composite, especially. And so you get all this static electricity build up, and it's got to be discharged somehow. Normally, when the helicopter comes in and sets down, it discharges, and you don't have to worry about it. But if he's going to hover, they warn you not to grab a hold of the skid, and they warn you for a reason. Now, it doesn't happen all the time. The reason being is sometimes there's periods of, depending on what the atmospheric condition is, there's not as much static to build up. But there are sometimes it can be awesome, like when you have a a low barometric pressure or whatever has an effect upon the static buildup. I don't know all that stuff. I was hoping Brown Chicken to show up today. I wanted to show him my chicken placemat. Well, Lucy, you're still pretty young. You got plenty of time to get to do a lot of living, and you will. You may one of these days go over to a Uber Air. Uber Air. You walk out of the terminal and you go over there and you buy your ticket, and you walk out and here's this little black cubicle looking thing. It's got 4 arms on it. It's got blades on all 4 arms, and you walk in and you take your credit card and punch it in and put your where you're going to go and sit down there and off it goes. No pilot, nothing. You just ride in Uber Air. Sounds far-fetched, but it's coming. They're working towards that direction. The autonomous stuff that they've got now is so advanced compared to how it first started out. And it's going to even get more sophisticated as you get more AI that can conduct and carry on and make its own logical decisions about congestion, atmospheric conditions, weather conditions, many things that could occur that they're operating at a billion functions a second. Oh, yeah. I, that technology has been around. You know, it took years. Remote life, that took years before that was ever implemented. They planned ahead. When you've got what they call military intelligence, um, the planning stage is looking far ahead in the future. And these people are all the way up to the exporter and the people that manufactured, and everything was placed in place so that when the time came, boom, your little ear blowed off or your side of your head went away. uh, you're probably going to probably see a lot more of that stuff. My son, he's not in here now, but he's off today, but he may come in and join us. But my son, well, him and I, we have quite a few talks. He's pretty advanced in technology. He's much more than I am. But he has us worry about AI one of these days revolting against man. And as you can see, things are starting to take place where you should have some concern. Well, if I had a lot of sons that went to war and fought for the country, but uh, I'd rather have a drone doing it as having one of my sons having to go on foot into those places and take people out of a building. If I can send a drone over there with the right package, I can eliminate everybody in that building and not one of my people are killed. Uh, Oh, remote life. I think the military sends a lot of our young men over to those other countries because soldiers like to come home and talk about all the love affairs they had. I know all my kids when they came back, a lot of them, they talked about going to the Longapo and going down and doing all 100 bars at Longapo and the nightlife and being a soldier and going in and you have women at your feet and conquest all over. America, our military has always made sure that the GIs have that form of entertainment. That's the reason we send real human beings instead of artificial drones and stuff flying AI, and is because most of the generals want to see their boys get a little R&R when they're in another country. That's old school stuff. Everybody I ever knew from the World War II all the way to now, they would talk about those beautiful German women. They went over there to fight the Nazis, but they made love to the German women. They went over and fought the Japanese on the island, killed them by the millions, and blowed them up with atomic bombs and got over and made love to the Japanese ladies and brought some of them home. We always loved the ladies no matter whatever country we go in. Yeah, I like traveling to other countries and seeing other people and being just being part of humanity. We have such great expectations because almost everything we know here in America is about what movies we saw, things we saw on movies, and we forget that those characters are being paid as actors to give you that feeling that we walk to walk and talk to talk and all that kind of stuff. But when it gets where the rubber meets the road, it's a little bit different story. I've been wanting to do this for a little while, is to brush my doggone cap. See, sometimes I throw my cap right over here, and the dog get over and lay on it. They'll lay right on top of it, and they get dog hair on my cap. This thing, I've had it so long, there's so much sweat on it. I've washed it several times, but in fact, you can see what the washing does to it. It grays out all this area here. It takes all the color out because I put maybe a little bit too much Clorox in it. I could quit being cheap and just keep several of them on hand, but as long as I can keep it clean, the insides are nice and clean, so they don't never get in there. Oh, who was it? There used to be a guy on here, a Navy guy, that used to be on our live feeds. We talked quite a bit about eating the beluga. Oh, not beluga. It's the duck egg that you put in the sand for many years, for a long, long time. Balut. And when that thing is cooked in the sand after several years there, and it turns into like a black jelly. Who was that? Boy, he made it clear he would never eat that. Oh, he lived up in Minnesota. A friend of mine that was on the ham radio, not on here. We were on the ham radio, and he was a Navy guy, and he never could bring himself to eat it. The thing is to try to trick your fellow sailors into doing it. We got to ask Salty, did he ever eat one of them? Did he ever chow down on one of them jellied duck eggs that's been in the sand for several years, for a long time? It said it quivers like jelly. Ugh. I just don't think I could bring myself to eat it. Well, you guys have been really nice this afternoon, coming and visiting with me. We only intend to do a little bit because we know we got some people coming up. It's going to be starting here pretty soon. I'll end this in 9 minutes. So yeah, we'll pull the big switch in 9 minutes. That gives us 2 hours. I got to see a lot of my friends here. Lucy, Ray Moto, Sick, 2x4. That's that Lucy. There's quite a Ray Moto Life. We still have quite a few people still in here, and that's good. Didn't have any topic. We did eat a nice big bowl of chili and cornbread. That cornbread was not made by me. It was made by, well, let's put it this way. I think it came out of a box. I didn't do it, but it was good. I make my own cornbread, my mother's style, and I make it in a cast iron skillet. And mine is really buttery, golden brown crust on it. Top's got a good brown, good top on it. Because if you got a big old bowl of butter beans, you want some of that crust for your juice that's in the butter beans. When I was at the store today, I shouldn't have went that close to lunch. I was so hungry. I began to think about all the things. I kept loading that cart up, and we put quite a bit of meat in the freezer. Hey, there's rolling up T-Bone. Oh man, well, Thomas Bailey is still with us. Roll and I would just tell them we're probably going to be closing down here pretty quick, so the other guys can get their things going. Well, they can run it anyhow. I don't hold nobody up, but I didn't even know. See, we didn't have no TV for quite a while today, and before we went to town, we unplugged everything, left the router, unplugged it, and replugged everything in, and so far the signal's been holding up pretty good. And yeah, Uncle Grandpa Old Mack. Angelique calls me Old Mac. That's so funny. I get a big kick out of it because she just could never bring herself to do that before, and and I can understand that, but it's a respectful thing. But like she couldn't call Six name out the other day. We were out there back in the summer. We were riding a bike over there in the Bankhead Forest, and she was telling me who all was seeing. She's talking to me. She's watching it on the phone, and I can't see them when I'm doing a live feed, and she's talking to me through my Cena, and she's telling me that that guy's sick or whatever. Well, anyhow, she didn't want to use the word bastard. I said that is his nickname. You know, that's what he goes by. Well, it's a biblical word that's used in the Bible, and but I think out of respect you feel that way. It has nothing to do with any kind of religious connotation of anything. It's just uh, a man especially, and I'm sure I know you well enough, T-Bone, that if a man looked you in the face and called you a liar, chances are it would rile you up. But if he called you a son of a bitch, you're gonna knock that mofo down. You're gonna do whatever. You're gonna instantly go violent because there's just certain things you just don't call, man. And so we put these boundaries, we put ourselves, and I've been around guys, they use that all the time. They talk that away amongst themselves back and forth. Oh my God. You got a package from the sick bastard. Oh, I bet you. That had to be something. Yeah, we was really back in our days, that calling somebody an SOB was not, that ain't something that you'd want to ever do unless you was willing to face the consequences. But now they call one another all kinds of names and do it all in, I mean, like when I was a kid, you could never imagine calling somebody a dog. They go, hey dog, hey dog. Times have changed. Oh hell yeah, you got that right. Yeah, you got that right. Just certain things that one should not cross that barrier, even in jest. I can just imagine the look on that lady's face when she sees sees a package from the sick bastard. Uh, hey, what was that? You remember there was a musical group, a guy. What was his old sick bastard? What was it? What that? Didn't he have what? I know there was. There was an entertainer, somebody. I think he was in the music field. Sick bastard. Uh, Dirty bastard. Ah, dirty bastard. Ah. No, I'd like to see that tradition held up, T-Bone, where you don't ever involve your mama in nothing that has to do with you and I. As that Will Smith said, keep my mama out of your mouth. My mama's name out of your mouth. Because I'll spank you. Yeah, old dirty bastard. I don't know if he's still alive, still existing, but I do remember there was a guy that entertained, was called the Old Dirty Bastard. I could bring him up on the phone and see what Old Dirty Bastard had. Yeah, I was right. Old Dirty Bastard. Uh, oh, look at this. Woo! I see all the condiments. You probably got the same. You might have got the picture there from Motor sour cream, Fritos, chili, cheese, shredded. Oh my, sharp cheddar. I love that. When I was a truck driver, I was up there in Wisconsin, the land of cheese. The cheese heads, and I kept seeing these signs: cheddar, cheddar, sharper cheddar in Wisconsin. And then one place advertised 12-year-old sharp cheddar. So, hang on, this could be serious. bringing in email. So I go in there and I said, "Where's this sharp cheddar at?" The lady said, "Sir, this stuff is really sharp. I think you ought to try it before you buy it." So I said, "Sure." She cut me off a slither of it. She said, "Just stick your tongue out," and she laid that slither of cheese on my tongue, and it dissolved in my mouth, and it made my jawbones, these little nerves up in the side of my jaw, just started. Oh my God, that flavor! And then I could feel it all in my mouth. I hated to swallow it. I didn't want that flavor to go away. It was so good. I brought, I bought a big chunk of that cheese, had it sliced up and everything. And when I brought it home, I told Ruth, I said, "This has got to be used sparingly." And I gave her the same thing that that lady did to me. I tore her off a strip, put it in her mouth. It was just like heaven. If you like sharp cheddar cheese, that stuff made my saliva glands just started overflowing, and it was, oh, what, there's no way to describe that flavor. Oh, salty, man, you've been out there working, and I've been sitting here just running my head and yapping and talking, and you, meanwhile, you was doing something creative and constructive. Yeah, it's after 3 now. I think I will go ahead and pull the plug, because other people are probably wanting to get something started up and do their thing, and um, I try to join in when I can, um, and I will if I have internet when I see anybody. I use my phone when it comes up and gives me a notification on my phone. I immediately go over to the computer, and then I can either try to check in if I've got a signal. We know that things will probably get better after the weather gets over with. Signals will probably start picking up. But right now, it should be the best time of all because all the leaves are off the trees, and the tower is 7 miles away. And you'd think the signal could get to me better, but it just sort of went down in the last month. And you can write all the complaints you want, and when you're at the end of the line, you're at the end of the line. That's all they can do for you. Down the rabbit hole. Uh, well, I just hope you guys have real good turnouts. I appreciate each and every one of you that come over and visit today. And I got to get my dishes back to the kitchen. She likes to have everything washed up before bedtime. And she usually don't come in and bother me when I'm talking to her. Not that she's a bother. She'd much rather be doing her thing, whatever she's doing. She does craft work upstairs. She's got a whole apartment up there upstairs, and she has her craft studio up there, and she's making things and always trying out new things. I took her up to Hobby Lobby, and she bought a whole crate full of new supplies. So she's been busy in her little projects up there. So every minute she spends over here talking to me, she's always thinking about getting back to her project. Oh, they made candles here. Oh, Ruth, and they made so many. They made Cincinnati. No, not Cincinnati. I can't remember what it was called. It was the stuff that makes mosquitoes go away. They got the chemicals. They mixed it in their stuff. Cincinnati. I don't remember. It started with a C anyhow. That that kept the mosquitoes. So we used to have a lot of all of our back deck equipment out there and the barbecue grill and everything, and the mosquitoes would be so bad. But she would burn those candles around the railing to keep the mosquitoes away. They made a lot of candles. My wife was big in gourds. She was a member of the American Gourd Society, and she had a TV show up in Cullman that she would go on with her craft on the TV show. She made a lot of gourd stuff. Citronella, that's it. Citronella. Yeah, I can't say the word. That's the word. That's the right one. And yeah, so we've always. One time I started a business for my wife. I actually financed her a business. It was called Dream Weavers, and she made baskets. I bought her $4,000 worth of baskets already pre-made, but she made the baskets up with all kinds of beautiful stuff and different bouquet arrangements, artificial flowers. You're really some good looking stuff. And we used to ship them out. I had a shipping station right over there, and we'd box and ship them in box. And they would come and get a load of the stuff and haul it out of here. And yeah, it was called Dream Weavers. She really loved doing it. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for being here with me, helping an old man pass the time away. And we'll come over and pay you some respect on your pages when you guys get started up, provided we have internet. So good evening, and we'll see you again when technology allows me.